Bob Paris is widely regarded as one of the most respected bodybuilders in history. His approach to bodybuilding transcended the sport, becoming a true form of art. At the peak of his career, Bob displayed extraordinary proportions with an impressive muscular balance that set him apart from the rest. Standing 6 feet, 1.83 meters, tall and weighing around 229 pounds, 104 kilograms, in competition, his presence on stage was unmatched. He quickly became a star, earning the nickname, the Flawless Marvel. However, behind all the glory and recognition, Bob's life was not always easy. Kicked out of his home at a young age, he had to fight for his place in a competitive world. At the height of his physical prime, Bob made a courageous decision that would change the course of his career, choosing to sacrifice part of his fame to live more authentically. If you enjoy this type of content, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Supporting the channel by becoming a member is also an incredible way to help keep the production active and independent. And of course, your like and share are essential for more people to discover this content. Now, without further ado, let's dive into the video. Bob Paris was born on December 14, 1959, in Columbus, Indiana. From a young age, he was full of energy and talent, always involved in various activities. His childhood was marked by playing multiple sports. He played football, basketball, golf, and also excelled in track and field. Besides his athletic abilities, Bob was highly involved in his school community, actively participating in plays and community events. This multifaceted involvement showed a young man with great potential, both physically and creatively. One day, a teacher asked him to go down to the school's basement. There, surrounded by old, dusty weightlifting equipment, Bob discovered something that would change the course of his life. That moment sparked a fire that quickly grew into a passion for physical training. The Indiana native, who already excelled in other sports, soon realized he had a natural talent for bodybuilding. At that time, Bob weighed 176 pounds, 80 kilograms, and his main goal was to get stronger, developing his physique with dreams of pursuing a career in film. He wasn't yet a bodybuilding enthusiast, but he saw weightlifting as a tool to improve his performance and appearance. As he trained, the results started to show impressively. By the time he finished high school, Bob had reached 198 pounds, 90 kilograms, with a more developed physique. This evolution caught the attention of many around him, but his journey was just beginning. After high school, he served 2 years in the United States Marine Corps, which was crucial in shaping his discipline, resilience, and focus on physical and mental development. However, even with this formative experience, Bob felt something was missing, something that could allow him to explore his true essence and offer a freedom he had yet to find. Later, he enrolled in college but quickly realized that the academic environment wasn't enough to satisfy his search for something greater. Bob spent only a year in university before deciding to pursue a more authentic path that reflected his individuality and desires. This yearning for freedom and expression would be key in shaping not only his career but also his legacy as one of the most iconic bodybuilders of all time. It was then that Bob Paris made a decision that would change the course of his life. He moved to California, the true center of bodybuilding in the United States. This was, without a doubt, the most decisive moment of his career. In California, he enrolled at the prestigious Stella Adler Conservatory, where he studied acting and graduated with honors after 2 years of intense dedication. It was also in Los Angeles that Bob had a meeting that would profoundly impact his bodybuilding journey. He met Rory Lytlemeyer, a highly respected athlete and trainer, considered the heir to Vince Gironda, who was famous for his protein and fat-based diets for performance optimization. Bob faithfully followed Rory's advice and trained alongside him for a year and a half, during which time he intensified his physical preparation. Under this mentorship, Bob entered and won his first bodybuilding competition, the Mr. Los Angeles, where he claimed both the heavyweight division and the overall title. This victory put him on the radar of the national bodybuilding scene, and he began competing in more prestigious events. However, this rising success led to the end of his partnership with Lytlemeyer, who aspired to the United States Championship title, something he never managed to achieve. Bob, on the other hand, began adopting a new training system based on supersets with high repetitions, which helped him reach an even higher level of physical conditioning. With this new training method, Bob set his sights on the United States National Championships, but had to withdraw due to a lack of financial resources. However, the following year, his luck changed. He switched gyms, intensified his training, and prepared for the California State Championships, where he emerged victorious. Determined to test his physique against the best, Bob competed in the heavyweight division at the Mr. USA and Nationals, where he placed third and fourth, respectively. Although he didn't win first place, there was no reason for shame. He competed against legends of the sport, such as Lee Haney, Matt Mendenhall, and Tim Belknap, athletes already considered bodybuilding giants. Bob Paris was always his harshest critic, and after a tough phase in his career, he decided it was time for a radical change. In an act of self-criticism, Bob shaved his head as a form of punishment for not meeting his own standards. However, this transformation had a positive impact. The result of this self-reflection was his absolute triumph at the 1983 Nationals, where he won the heavyweight division, even surpassing his former mentor Rory Lytlemeyer, and claimed the coveted overall title. This moment marked the beginning of his meteoric rise in the bodybuilding world. Shortly after, Bob competed at the World Championships, where he once again displayed his excellence, defeating rising talents such as the young Dutchman Barry de May and the towering German giant Ralph Muller, who stood an impressive 6 feet 7 inches, 2 meters, tall. With these achievements, Bob Paris began riding the waves of success. His photos soon graced the covers of top bodybuilding magazines, and advertising contract offers quickly followed. Even Joe Weider, a legend in the bodybuilding world, took Bob under his wing, providing him with even more opportunities to grow within the industry. In addition to his competitive success, Bob used his fame to expand his personal brand, launching a clothing line and becoming an icon both on and off the stage. His career was skyrocketing, and he became one of the most sought-after and admired bodybuilders of his generation. In his debut at the 1984 Mr. Olympia, Bob Paris placed 7th, a result that sparked questions among fans and experts. The competition report in one of Joe Weider's magazines mentioned that the judges justified Paris' placement due to a lack of muscle mass compared to Lee Haney, the giant who dominated the sport at the time. No one disagreed with this point, as Haney's physique was incomparable. However, right behind Haney was Muhammad Makawai, who weighed only 165 pounds, 75 kilograms. The same judges praised Makawai's posing, but many believed Paris' performance was equally impressive, if not superior, in terms of symmetry and presentation. This judgment at the Olympia seemed, at the very least, strange. By 1985, there were high expectations that Bob would break into the top 5, but surprisingly, he finished in 9th place, leaving experts baffled. Bob Paris, however, was never a traditional bodybuilder. He didn't seek to be the biggest or the most defined. His goal was to achieve bodily harmony, something he viewed as a form of art. To him, bodybuilding was an artistic expression, not merely a competition of size and definition. In his own words, Bob considered himself more of an actor than a bodybuilder. After the Pro World Tournament in the spring of 1986, where he placed 6th, Bob made a drastic decision. He announced his retirement from competitive bodybuilding. The news was met with surprise in the bodybuilding world, and Bob explained that his decision was based on the growing reliance on steroid use in the sport, something he didn't want to be associated with. At that point, the dreams of a 17-year-old aspiring to Mr. Olympia glory gave way to the more pragmatic thoughts of a 25-year-old man pursuing a career in acting. From then on, Bob Paris focused on acting, leaving the world of competition behind, but maintaining his dedication to his body as a form of art. Bob Paris' return to bodybuilding happened a year and a half after his departure at the Grand Prix in Germany, where he placed 11th. But what led Paris to return to the stage so suddenly? Part of the answer may lie in a personal aspect of his life that, at the time, was considered delicate. Bob Paris was gay and had been in a stable relationship with his partner since 1984. In the 1980s, society was very conservative, and public figures faced challenges when revealing their sexual orientation. Paris tried his luck in Hollywood, hoping to transition to acting, but encountered a highly prejudiced industry. At that time, the expectation was that muscular heroes on the big screen were to be romantic leads in heterosexual relationships, accomplishing heroic feats, with no room for narratives involving relationships between men. This hostile environment closed doors for Paris in Hollywood, but there was more behind his decision to return to bodybuilding. During his time away, he realized how much he loved the sport and the life it had given him. The desire to compete again and relive the feeling of being on stage motivated his return, even knowing he'd have to work hard to regain his competition physique. With only 5 months until the Grand Prix in Germany, Bob was far from his best shape, weighing just 191 pounds, 87 kilograms, a weight below the ideal for competing at a high level. With discipline and dedication, he managed to quickly increase his weight to 229 pounds, 104 kilograms, regaining much of his impressive physique. Placing 11th at the Grand Prix may not have been the standout result many had hoped for, but it's important to remember that this competition was one of the most fiercely contested of its time, featuring almost all of the top bodybuilding names. The intensity of the competition was so high that even renowned athletes like Barry May finished only in 9th place. For Bob, this return to the stage was more than just a ranking. It was proof that he still had what it took to compete with the best. Determined to move forward, Bob continued his preparation, and by the spring of 1988, he began to reap the rewards of his hard work. He secured an impressive 3rd place at the Niagara Falls tournament, a result that already signaled his physical and competitive recovery. Shortly after, he shined once again at the prestigious Night of the Champions, placing 3rd and defeating notable opponents like rising star Sean Ray and veteran Albert Beckles, who was already a bodybuilding legend. With these results, Bob Paris solidified his return to the top of competitions, proving that he was still a force to be reckoned with. The 1988 Mr. Olympia took place in Los Angeles, bringing together the best bodybuilding athletes of the time, making it one of the most competitive events in history. The competition was fierce, with athletes showcasing physiques of the highest level, and Bob Paris, with his signature elegance, earned a respectable 10th place. In this event, he once again surpassed strong rivals like Sean Ray and Albert Beckles, as well as other competitors from the spring contests, such as Phil Hill and Robbie Robinson. What's impressive is that, even amidst the growing emphasis on muscle mass in the sport, Bob stayed true to his philosophy of harmony and aesthetics. He competed weighing 225 pounds, 102 kilograms, without sacrificing his proportions, standing out for the beauty of his posing and muscular balance. Shortly after Mr. Olympia, Bob embarked on the intense Grand Prix tour across Europe, where he never placed below 6th in any event. At the Grand Prix of Italy, Bob delivered one of his best performances, finishing in the top 3, defeating heavyweights like Barry May, Brian Buchanan, Ron Love, and Mike Quinn, the latter having beaten him at the previous year's Olympia. These results showed that Bob was still a dominant force on the international scene. The following year, 1989, was also eventful for Paris, beginning with success at the World Pro, where he claimed 3rd place. He followed up with a 5th place finish at the inaugural Arnold Classic, an event that quickly became one of the most prestigious in bodybuilding, and earned 4th place at the renowned Night of the Champions. However, the 1989 Mr. Olympia brought a bitter disappointment for Bob, as he finished a distant 14th, falling short of his own expectations and previous performances. Nonetheless, he bounced back during the post-Olympia Grand Prix Tour, where he managed to podium in 3 events. However, a major change was about to occur in Bob's life. In an interview with Iron Man magazine, he made a statement that would have a significant impact not only on the bodybuilding world but also on society as a whole. Bob Paris publicly came out as gay, stating, "I am gay, but my burden is not being gay. The burden was growing up in a society that made me hate myself because of my sexual orientation. It's been a tough road, but now I have pride, honesty, and confidence in myself. This revelation was groundbreaking, as he became the first prominent bodybuilder to come out openly, at a time when the subject was still considered taboo, especially in the world of sports. At that time, the world was far less tolerant than it is today, and Bob Paris faced a wave of negative reactions after coming out as gay. Fans who admired his image as a symbol of virility and strength in bodybuilding were shocked. Many couldn't accept that someone who embodied the ideals of masculinity could be homosexual. The prejudice was swift and brutal. Bob began receiving constant threats through letters and phone calls, with hateful comments aimed at undermining his confidence and erasing his legacy in the sport. His career, which had been on the rise, started to decline after this public revelation. Sponsorships began to dwindle, and advertising contracts vanished. Society at that time wasn't ready to embrace a top athlete who challenged the rigid stereotypes of gender and sexual orientation. In the midst of this whirlwind, Bob made history as the first bodybuilder invited to the famous Oprah show. There, he shared his story and discussed the challenges he faced as a gay man in a sport that celebrated hypermasculinity. It was a courageous appearance that inspired many, but it also intensified resistance from certain groups. Even so, Bob was undeterred. He channeled his energy into other creative projects, proving he was more than just a stage-ready physique. Paris revealed himself to be a talented writer, publishing over 6 books, as well as numerous articles, plays, and film scripts. His talent extended far beyond his muscles, and he began to explore other forms of art, showing that bodybuilding had been just one part of his identity. After stepping away from bodybuilding in 1997, Bob embarked on a new career in New York theater, where he excelled as an actor. His passion for the dramatic arts kept him involved in theatrical projects for many years. Additionally, Bob also worked as a photographic model, lending his impressive physique and charisma to fashion campaigns and photo shoots. Even after retiring from competition, his presence remained impactful. In 1990, he made a brief return to competition, placing 14th at the Night of the Champions. The following year, Bob competed again at Mr. Olympia, finishing 12th. It was far from his best days, but he didn't give up immediately. His final competitive show was the 1992 Chicago Pro, where he placed 10th. With that result, Bob officially ended his career as a competitor, never having won a professional competition. But would it be fair to call him a failure? Certainly not. Although he never claimed a Mr. Olympia title, Bob Paris left an undeniable legacy in bodybuilding. In 2006, Flex magazine honored him as the most aesthetic athlete in the history of the sport, a title that reflects his relentless pursuit of perfect proportions and bodily harmony. For Bob, bodybuilding was always more than just winning titles. It was a form of art, a way to express his unique vision of the human body. He didn't focus on being the biggest or most muscular, but on achieving an aesthetic balance that showcased his artistic perspective on bodybuilding. Now, I want to hear your opinion. What do you think of Bob Paris? Do you believe his decision to come out publicly hurt his career, or did he simply lack the physique needed to win Mr. Olympia? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. And of course, don't forget to share this video with friends who are interested in the world of bodybuilding. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and leave a like. It really helps promote the content and motivates me to keep bringing more videos like this to you.